I'm Kate Ward, and this is your Dickman Farms decorator tip. You have made your porch pot, and isn't it fantastic? So here you are, pushing out the snow and warming up the front door with your porch pot of whatever size, but now what do you do with it? Well, now you decorate it, and there's lots of ways to do that and with lots of things. I would always start with the biggest things first. So sometimes as you're creating, you might have some birch poles that you want to use, maybe you have some twigs, but the bigger that piece is, especially if it's going to be in the base body of this, the sooner you want to add it. So that said, I don't have any large stems to put in here that I want to use today, but I do have some curly willow. Now curly willow is naturally brown. Well, I didn't want brown, so I spray painted it. Yes, I did, myself. I could have gone gold, silver, could have left them natural, all depending on what you're doing. And then afterwards, just like creating this porch pot, it's as simple as pushing down and in the twigs that I want to use. And now there's things called red stem dogwood out there. As I said, there's birch branches, there's this curly willow. You could choose finer things like ting, and that's gonna be curly and sparkly. You could choose, let's see, what else could you choose? You could use regular willow. You could choose sprays and wisps of branches. It's really up to you. But these are that next piece that gives you your height, that gives that backbone into the piece if you want to use them. You certainly don't have to, and a lot of the times we don't here at the farm. But it's an example of what you could do and what you could use. Generally, towards the center, 3 stems is usually enough. Oops, I just broke one. We could add that further down in here and affix it with either wire or glue. So the next thing that I want to add, if I was going to do it, would be that bow we talked about. And you see I have a bow here already ready to go. And where is that spot? You'll find, as I stated before, when you're making these, that there's going to be sort of a front to this. And as I turn this around and keep looking, I think the front was already facing front. And I think it looks a little bit to me like it might be right here. I have sort of this flat spot, and that's where I could then take my wires and affix that bow. So where is it? Now I don't want to pull it back in here. You can see what happened to the bow. I could just wire it right out to the edges and just pick one of these greens branches and wrap it right around. So that's really pretty simple to do. We already have our bow, so make sure you check out our video on creating these bows, or of course we can do it here for you at the farm. So that said, and shape out your bow. You're gonna wanna do that. Some people get that far and they forget to do those little details of shaping your bow, and it turns to look like something sat on it, and it just sort of takes away from your whole creation. You can see here, I have a different width bow. There's another bow like this one on that other pot. I'm gonna go ahead and straighten these out as well. And obviously I'll come around in a minute because you can see it, but I can't quite yet. Then I get into my doodads, my little things. Now, to affix these, I can do them multiple ways. I could go ahead and have these big heavy branches if I want, or take these branches apart like they are in this smaller porch pot and use them here and there. So it depends on what or how you like to do it. Now, normally to do this, you could stick it in there, you're done. But if I wanted to, there's a few tools you have to remember that you might want. Always have your pruners ready, because those pruners, maybe there's a piece that as you're going you really didn't like, or it broke as you stuffed something in, so you can clean it up. As usual, my wire, my pliers, and my wire cutters, they're gonna help me. Now the wire cutters have a different use here, and I put them in my back pocket. In this case, if I wanted to cut up this pick, most picks are wired picks, meaning that in here there's a wire somewhere. So sometimes I can pull them like I did there against, and that'll work. But when I get up higher, maybe I want a longer pick. So as I get in here, I would take my wire cutters, and I would press down, and have, voila, different pieces. This one has the price tag, we'll get rid of that. So I'm creating a few pieces. Now once I have my few pieces, what do I do with them? How do I get them in here? Well, there's 2 ways to do that. One was that wire we were referring to. Takes a little bit longer, but you don't have to worry about the hot glue getting on your hands. Because sometimes if you haven't been using that glue gun, it gets very hot and those first couple runs of the glue come out really fast, so be very careful. So I can take that wire and trim it, so spin it around, connect it, then I find a piece that I like. So maybe I want it in here. And then I could go ahead and maybe I'd put it to the back so I didn't see that miscellaneous stem. And I would go ahead and just wire it straight to my greens. As you'll recall, these porch pots are in soil. So when we're done, we're gonna water this. And the reason I mention that again here is that by wiring it to these greens, once we water this plant, well, pot, and put it outside, that water's gonna freeze. It's gonna freeze these in tight. So even though I have things wired to them, they're not going anywhere. My other opportunity is to use hot glue. Again, you'll remember that hot glue is extremely hot, hence the name hot glue. So here's the glue gun. I take, and I would really use, I like to make a loop out of that piece of wire. And whether or not you can see that there, I make that loop and I just kind of twist it. What it gives me is a slightly bigger base to put the glue on. So I press that down and you can maybe see that this wants to form a drip. This glue is liquid-like, so it acts like a liquid and moves like a liquid. So remember that it acts like a liquid and can drip and get on your hands. So you try and stay away from that hot, hot glue. But here we are. I can now affix that wherever I want and hold it there for a second. Don't let it go immediately because that glue is hot. It needs to cool, and as it cools, it'll then hold that piece in place. The same thing goes for maybe if I wanted to affix something like pine cones. Here's a pine cone. Again, could use wire. And to do this, it's roughly the same idea. Drop my pine cone. I would take that pine cone and I would go around the base with that wire. And I pull it tight and I just spin the pine cone. So now I have a pine cone on a wire. And then I just take that and just like I did with this pick, I can wire this right in wherever I like. So maybe it's there. It's really that simple. So with a few pieces and before very long, you have a very nice finished creation to your liking. You can choose any pieces you like, anything that reflects what you have in the home. Maybe you like blue, silver, burgundy, any of those colors. Again here, I'll show you, I'm putting a lot of glue on this end. You can see how it's wanting to come out. Again, it's like a fluid, but then I can turn it and I find a space that I like it. And with this glue, I'm going to give it a little bit of a twist and a nestle. I don't want to just set, I want to twist it down and hold it for a minute. Sometimes I'll push the greens against the glue. So remember, don't touch that glue directly. Push the greens against that glue, hold it for a minute, and what this does is it gets the greens really stuck into the glue, which stick to the pine cone. Whereas if I just set it, it just sort of sets. It's not really grabbing on to different things, and it doesn't hold quite as well as if you're a little patient and give it a little wiggle. So when you're all done, you have beautiful things, beautiful adornings for your front door. So this has been your Dickman Farms Decorator Tip.